Picture this. It's your first day of college and you're getting ready for your dorm's orientation meeting. You are always sheltered, so meeting new people is already tough, let alone meeting 50. You don't really think you're going to be asked to speak, so you reckon you'll be fine. Wrong. You see, there's an interesting activity taking place. Everyone has to write down a question on a sheet of paper, fold it, and toss it in a bowl. This bowl is then taken by the RA, it's shaken up to shuffle things up, and then everyone picks one paper from that bowl. Everyone takes turns saying their name, their major, and answering the question they picked. Now, you're a sweet little Christian boy, so you're hoping you don't get a crazy question like other people did. Your question is, what's your favorite curse word? Fantastic. In this moment, you have to decide, do you make up a new question and answer it, pretending to not see the question on the paper? Or do you choose not to answer, citing your faith as a reason? Or give a slightly comical answer to exhibit your innocence? If you picked option number 3, that was the correct answer. These were your exact words. Hello, my name is David Nana. I'm a software engineering major, and the question I picked was, what is your favorite curse word? Well, I'm a Christian, so the best I can do is dang or flipping heck. The crowd laughs, you smile, they move on. Now, my question to you is, what option would you have picked? Would you pretend to be someone you're not to appease the crowd? Would you have stuck to your principles and stayed authentic? Or would you try to find a compromise between the two? You see, every day we're faced with these options when we interact with people. At times we may struggle to answer, and sometimes we may regret the option we picked. And sometimes we choose to be ourselves and get rejected, but sometimes we also pretend to be someone else and we're loved for it. But then in that situation, we know that we have to keep up the facade for as long as we know these people. I find myself oscillating between these two options a lot, but I always try to remember this quote: be who you are and the people looking for you will find you. I realize that if I put on a mask and people love me, they love me for the mask I have put on. If I don't put on a mask and stay true to my principles and my personality and people love me, they love me for who I am. You see, we cannot blame others for accepting or rejecting what we present to them. That's the harsh reality. We have to give people the option to make a choice. We cannot automatically assume we'll be rejected. That's what I like to call preemptive condescension, and I've done it so many times, and the truth is, it doesn't really help anyone. And if you're wondering where or when I started doing that, it was when I was much younger. I realized that I would always ask my parents if I could go see a certain friend of mine who they knew, but they had their reasons, right? So my parents, in their wisdom, decided it wasn't the best idea for me to go see this person. And because of the frequent rejection I would get when it came to going to see people, my close friends, I would always assume that the answer would be no to other questions that I asked. So I would ask, oh, mom, can I do this? And then I would whisper under my breath, no. And I did it so many times that it became subconscious. It just became instinct. And I didn't realize that I was saying it out loud. So one day I said it and my mother heard me and she was like, well, now that you said no, of course I'm going to say no too. Now I already had a feeling she was going to say no. Let's be honest. Mom, if you're watching this, I know you were going to say no. But that wasn't really the point. I think in that moment I realized that I had gotten used to rejection, so I started rejecting myself preemptively, meaning I had started rejecting myself before others could get the chance to reject me. And I think we do that sometimes, in that when we have hung out with certain people and they don't appreciate our personality or who we are when we're authentic to ourselves, we seem to project that dislike of us, or we seem to project that rejection onto everyone else that we have met or anyone else that we could possibly meet down the road. Now, just because someone doesn't like your personality doesn't mean that you're valued less, right? And I think we know that here, but in our hearts, we don't really, it's hard to believe that, but my personality is a part of who I am. But I think when you get rejected in that sense, you feel like who you are in general is rejected, not just a part of you. Now, for me, I personally believe in my head here that my primary identity is a child of God, right? I'm a believer in Christ. That is my primary identity. I was made in the image of God. That is who I am, first and foremost, before anything else. Then we come to, I guess, my nationality. Then we come to race and all these other things that are frankly temporary and not really meaningful. Obviously there's cultural, there's I have like a sense of humor which is based in culture. I like poetry, I like different things. That's all a part of who I am. But what it's rooted in is my first and foremost identity, which is a child of God. Now, if you're watching this, yours might be completely different, right? It could be the fact that you are a writer. It could be the fact that you are an accountant. Whatever it is for you, you have to ask yourself: is this thing that I'm basing my whole identity on a temporary thing, or is it long lasting? And I think when you are able to ask yourself that question, you can tell much more accurately who you believe you are. Because sometimes we don't really know who we are because we have so many different personalities for different groups. And obviously, you have to be wise, right? When you're dealing with certain people, you kind of act differently. And that's just wisdom. I'm not going to make the same jokes around my Ghanaian friends like I would my actual American friends, because they wouldn't understand it. And the Ghanaian friends, they would understand it because they speak the language as well. I wouldn't make certain dry English jokes around certain people because they probably wouldn't get it. I wouldn't be as sarcastic as I normally am around certain people because they wouldn't understand. That is not a reflection of who they are as a person. It's simply just they don't get it. And if they don't get it, they're not gonna vibe with me on that, I hate using this word, on that wavelength or frequency. And I think that's the toughest and most important thing, is acknowledging that just because someone doesn't gel or vibe with a certain part of our personality, just because they don't vibe with that, it doesn't mean that they don't love us, or we shouldn't give them the opportunity to actually care about us as a person. Like for me, I may be very extra for some people. Sometimes I get loud, and sometimes I'm very nonchalant, I just don't care. And it sort of throws people off sometimes, because I'm very, I don't mind being alone. I don't mind being by myself. And people ask, David, how can you be alone for so long? And I'm just like, that's just how I am. And I don't really like going out. So sometimes it comes off as I don't want to hang out with people. But that's not really it. It's just, I just don't like going out at all. Now, obviously, there will come a time, and there is a requirement of sacrifice of my own personal comfort. And, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I think I realized that because I'm not everyone's cup of tea, or sorry, let me say it like this. I realized that because not everyone is my cup of tea, I also have to realize that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, right? Some people like Lipton. Some people like Tetley. Some people like PG. I don't know the other brands of tea, but they might not like me. But in all seriousness, just because I'm not someone's cup of tea doesn't mean that everyone hates tea. It's hard to be yourself, but you must be yourself, because if you walk around with a mask long enough, that mask will start to confuse you, and you'll realize, oh, is this who I am? But that's not really who I want to be. And if this is not who I'm trying to be, why am I being that person for this group of people? I think there's a difference between you pretending to be someone and you just highlighting a different side of your personality for different groups. Because if you're pretending to be someone you're not, it means that it's not even a part of your identity. Obviously, we can grow, we can change, we can learn, we can try new things, but deep down, you would know when you're not being true to yourself. And when I'm saying true to yourself, I'm not talking about your truth, live however you want. I'm saying that there is an objective truth about ourselves that we know deep down that others don't know. So therefore, when we are acting out of step or out of sync with that part of us, we know it. And I know it's hard because some people just don't get you, and that's okay. I genuinely think that's okay. You don't have to always be trying to please people, because you don't need to please everyone. And I know it's hard, right? And someone might be watching this and say, oh, David, it might be easy for you to say because you have friends. Listen, even if I didn't have friends, right? I've grown to be okay with that. Now, obviously, as a Christian and just as a human, I know that it is necessary to have loved ones around you, people who care about you. It's necessary to foster long-lasting and healthy relationships and bonds. Having brothers or sisters in Christ who are going to help you enforce the standard that you both abide by. They keep you accountable. They encourage you. They're there for you when you need it. You're there for them when they need it. They cry with you when you're crying. They cheer with you when you're cheering. And you need that. You need that group. But if you had to sacrifice being authentically you for that, it's not worth it. And obviously, we all have subjective ways of defining what authenticity is. How do I say this? If I'm just an absolute what's the word? If I'm not nice, right, and I think not being nice is me being authentic to me, let's be honest, it's not wise to do that. Oh, I'm just real. I'm just very straightforward. I speak my mind, I speak the truth. Sure, buddy. But the thing is, you cannot complain when people don't like being around you, because not many people actually like that. Not many people like the blunt truth. And obviously I like the blunt truth, but I know that not everyone is going to appreciate that. But the reason I like the blunt truth and telling it to other people is because I would prefer it be told to me. It doesn't mean I won't get my feelings hurt. It doesn't mean I won't feel some type of way about what's being said. It just means that I prefer that over someone lying to my face and pretending to like me, or pretending that I look good. Oh, hey David, you look good today, when I don't look good today. Don't lie to me. Don't do that. Don't give me a false sense of ego or like pride. I'm like, yeah, oh, thank you, I look good today. Me walking around with like my hair looking ugly. The beard is back, so we're good. But I think it doesn't help to pretend someone is something that they're not. I think it's on the same level as you pretending you're something you're not. It's like, I'm gonna pretend I'm something, and I'm gonna pretend that you're something, and then we're gonna both live under the delusion that we are both not that thing. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't help anyone. And I always go back to that quote: be yourself and the people looking for you will find you. Because if you're being someone else, the people who are looking for you will not find you. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that people are actively looking for you, because here's the thing, there's never been anyone like you on this planet. There are 8+ billion people on this planet. There has never and will never be anyone like you, because you are one of one. There is no one like you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So there are people who are looking for you, but they haven't found you yet. But when they find you, they will know, this is who I was looking for. Oh, this person has this interesting balance of humor and seriousness and melancholy, and he's poetic, and he's this. I'm just describing myself. And he's handsome, and he's fit. All great things, about me. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, but I'm serious in a way. No, I'm serious. I'm serious. It's like you have a perfect blend of all these things to someone. It may not be for everyone, but it's like going back to the tea analogy, right? There's, some people just like their tea just black. Just raw tea. Just the leaves. In fact, give them the leaves, they will pour hot water into it themselves, mash it up, and drink that. That's them. That's insane, but that's their cup of tea, right? And on the other hand, you have, a normal person, right, who just who just grabs a tea bag, puts it in the hot water, and maybe they add a bit of milk. Some people like condensed milk, some people like evaporated milk, some people like raw milk. You know what I'm saying? It's a different combination. Some people like 5 cubes of sugar. Someone likes just a teaspoon of sugar. Now, I might think the person that likes 5 cups of sugar is as insane as the Donny who's just down in just tea leaves and hot water. But other people might think, oh my God, I relate to that so much. Basically, my point is everyone has such a unique taste and a unique personality that someone out there will like them for that unique blend. Not everyone has to like you, and it's not possible for everyone to like you. So if your goal is to have as many people like you as possible, it's just not going to happen. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and just be a prick to everyone. Of course not. Be kind to everyone. Not necessarily nice, but just be kind to everyone. And those who accept you, and those who don't like you, don't like you. For example, with me, I'm very jovial. I'm always cracking jokes. I'm always happy. I'm always smiling. So when people see me in a mood where I'm not smiling and I look kind of like sad, it's not necessarily that I'm sad. It's just more like I just can't be bothered. I'm just in a mood where I can't be bothered. And I'll tell people straight up, hey, I don't feel like talking today. And some people think that's just a bit too brash. They think I'm a bit of a, what's the word? They think I'm not nice. But it's like, no, I'm not trying to be not nice. I just don't feel like talking today. And that's just the truth. And I've learned to do that because, like I said, I would rather someone just tell me the truth than keep lying to me and pretending that we are like, this close when we're not really that close. So, like I said, be who you are and the people looking for you will find you. If they're not looking for you, don't present yourself to them as what they're looking for, because they're not looking for you. If that's not who you are, if that's genuinely who you are, they will find you. And when they find you, trust me, you will know. And there may be a case where, they're looking for you, but you're not looking for them. And, that just sucks for them, right? And again, it works both ways. There may be a case where you're looking for someone and you find them, but they weren't really looking for you. And that's heartbreaking. And that's fine. And I think that's how you end up with, unrequited love or even unrequited friendships. It's like, hey, I really want to be friends with this person, but they don't want to be friends with me. And maybe sometimes we're wrong. They don't actually don't want to be friends with us, but they're going through their own thing. They're going through their own tough period in life, and they just can't be bothered to meet new people, right? And maybe we have healed or fixed something in us that allows us to be friends with people. So it's a very complex topic of how we relate to people when we're ourselves versus when we're not ourselves. But all I know is that if you don't choose as consistently as you can to be authentic to who you are, when we talk about principles, personality, and just your outlook on life, you will start to very easily get confused. You'll confuse yourself and you confuse other people as well. They won't know who you are and you won't know who you are. And that, again, that doesn't help anyone. Don't try to put on a mask to hide who you actually are, and just give people a chance. Give people a chance to accept you. And most importantly, give yourself a chance to accept you. I'm not one for like sappy messages saying, hey, you be yourself. You love yourself, okay? I don't like saying that. It sounds very... What's up? It just sounds very zesty to me. It doesn't sound very manly. It lacks testosterone. What I'm going to say is, on a serious note though, what I'm basically telling you is to not necessarily love yourself, like be egotistical and don't try to fix your flaws. I'm saying know who you are and be authentic to that version of yourself. Obviously try to improve, obviously try to be better than you were yesterday, and seek Christ and try to improve the relationships you have and just be a better person, right? But do not sacrifice your principles or your authenticity for the sheer end goal or outcome of just people liking you. When you opt to be a people pleaser instead of being yourself first and foremost, and like I said, satisfying the criteria for that first and like that primary identity you have, if you try to do anything other than that, you'll find yourself just flowing in the wind. You're just like chaff. You're like wheat, just blowing in the wind, like a tumbleweed, just going wherever the wind blows. And you don't really want that, because if you're going wherever the wind blows, you're going wherever the crowd goes. Oh no.
Now listen, that's called boys. You know nothing about that.
Ho, ho, ho. Okay, sorry. So yeah, if your identity is rooted in something that is outside of yourself, bigger than yourself, you are much more likely to have a concrete set of principles that you follow consistently in your life. But if you are someone who just goes where the wind blows and you want to be a people pleaser, which I understand, we all want to make friends, we all want to have people that love us, but if they love you for the mask you've put on, is they don't actually love you, and you know that they don't actually love you, because when you get home and you realize that, oh, I'm not who these people think I am, you suffer inside, and you're suffering inside. And the longer you go without admitting that, the less the suffering becomes, because you start to slowly dissociate from who you actually are. So be who you are, and the people looking for you will find you. I hope you can take that message to heart and ask yourself what it means for you to be who you are, and just answer that question for yourself. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it provoked some thought. And as always, Godspeed. Shooby dooby dooba, shooby dooby dooba, shooby dooby dooba, shooby dooby dooba, Agent P. Okay, alright. Godspeed.